All right, so let's look at this week's projection. Today is 8th of July, and let's project into the week. And we normally like we like trading basically Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And so, first things first, you can start your bias from the daily time frame or the weekly time frame. So, we would start from the daily time frame, or let's just check the weekly time frame first. This is Euro USD, by the way, and there is a very strong and simple method we use to get our bias. I'll show us an example with gold this morning. All right. In fact, let me just give us a hint. Look at gold, for example. Oh, GBPAUD did it. I was going to go there. GBPAUD. All right. It did it this morning. And the idea is very simple. Very simple. You go to your daily time frame, right? And I do tell our students, it may not happen every day in your singular pair, but this will happen every day across different pairs. So if you are trading only Euro USD, for example, you may not see this bias every day with Euro USD. But if you carefully scan through all 26, 30 pairs every morning before you do anything about trading, you will see what I'm about to talk about, right? And if you stick to it, you are just going to make banks. It happened in GBP USD this morning, GBP AUD. It happened in gold with gold this morning, all right? And that is one out of three ways we trade the market. Very straightforward and mechanical. What is it about? We talked about it the last time. How that you want to see price take out the high or low of the previous day's candle. So let's say this was yesterday's candle that has a high and has a low right there. All right. Now you want to see price open today, and you can check from any time. If it's an Asian pair that has JPY, AUD, NZD, you can start checking from 3 o'clock in the morning if you're Nigerian or whatever times. You can start checking from the Asian time, Asian open. All right. Then gold can work anytime because gold is a metal. Do you understand? So what you want to see is that the new day's candle that is now painted takes out the high of the previous day's candle. Now, this day, call it today, doesn't have to close before you take your entry. All you need to see is that it did take out the high of the previous day. And once it takes out that high of the previous day, you now want to scale down to the next time frame, which is a 4-hour time frame, and look for what we call change of character. Most of you already know what is change of character, but we call it expansion. It's the same thing. First thing first is today taking out the high of the yesterday or some days past. It may not be just yesterday, maybe some other highs, old highs. If yes, go to a next time frame or the 4-hour time frame and look for change of character, which we call expansion. So let's start with the first one. So today's candle takes out the high, checked. Now, the next time frame or the 4-hour time frame, because it's taking out the high, we're looking for sell or we are interested in a sell. So we now wait for a change of character in the next time frame or 4-hour time frame, which should mean something like this. So that top is what took out the high of the previous day. So we want to see price reject aggressively to the downside to break a low or what we call change of character or expansion or A-shape expansion, whichever one that floats your boat. But you understand what that means. Now, once you see that expansion, be licking your lips already because you will now have a potential setup. The only thing that now needs to be present for you to take this trade is inducement liquidity and fair value gap. And if you are new to our channel or you're new to our class or whatever, we've talked about fair value gap a lot. We talked about inducement liquidity a lot. In fact, you can refer to the last video where we talked about inducement liquidity. Do we understand? So, first things first, the daily previous day high or an old high is taken out. Second thing, you wait for a change of character in the 4 hours time frame. Now you'll be thinking, does this take long to happen? No, it doesn't take long. This change of character can just be formed with just two candles. All right, be two candles where the first one was what swept the high of the previous day or an old high, and then the next one comes down to engulf the previous one. So because we are naming this for a bearish market, let's give that the right coloration. So This first one, the opening of today, swept the high of the previous day and it closed here. Then the next candle engulfed to the downside, such that it or breaks the low of the previous candle. This is a change of character in the 4-hour time frame. This can also be an expansion to the downside. And when you see this happen, just like this shape here, you can now wait for price to pull back to this area so you can sell conveniently. Do you understand? However, after this expansion, we said two things have to be present for this area to be valid to sell from. Number one, fair value gap. Number two, inducement liquidity. Your inducement liquidity just have to be one candle. So that means, and by the way, before we talk about this expansion or this change of character has to happen in the 4-hour time frame. So I use this to show you that you don't have to wait till the end of the day. Remember, in a typical day candle or daily candle, you have 4 hours candle appearing 6 times. So you have 6 4-hours candle inside a 24 hours day. So just 2 out of 6 of that 4 hours candle is enough to form your expansion. And then the other one can now come, react from that area and sell off, and you make your money. Just target 3 arrow. I'm going to talk about this entry shortly. Now we have said, if you have followed to this point, we have said after this expansion in the 4-hour time frame, now your entry can either be this 4-hour time frame or 3 hours time frame or 2 hours or 1 hour. Any of the time frame that shows you clear inducement liquidity and fair value gap. By inducement liquidity, we mean that after this expansion, not the same candle in the 4-hour, let's say the 3 hours or 2 hours or 1 hour candle, after this expansion, the very next candle that forms should not go back to interact with this area where price broke. If this happens, that area becomes invalidated. You no longer need to sell from that area. It has used it up. That's what it means. So we want to see the next candle after the expansion to hang around, to suspend somewhere around that area, so that the high of that candle will be our inducement liquidity. You see, it is so mechanical that if you see it, you can't unsee it. Now, you want this candle or the next candle. That's why we say after this expansion in the 4 hours, you've seen it clearly. Simply or quickly go to the 1 hour time frame. When you go to the 1 hour time frame, you will still see the same expansion. However, you will have to wait for the next 1 hour candle to ensure that it does not go back to interact there. If it goes back there, that area becomes invalid to sell from. The same thing for the buy side. Do we understand that? Very simple, straightforward. Let me give you an example now. Okay, before I give you an example, once this plays out, you have this candle suspend without interacting there, you now have a potential area to sell from, right? You simply put your limit order, sell limit order in that area, this expansion area, and then target 3 arrow. Always risk 1 to get 3, all right, to be on the winning side of the trade, all right. And then your stop loss would actually cover for any fair value gap inside that area. Notice where I am putting my sell limit is at the expansion area. That is your, now what makes the expansion area valid to sell from is because number one, the day had swept previous day high. Number two, 4 hours giving us expansion. Number three, 1 hour has shown us that there is an inducement for this area. If I have number one, number two, that means previous high taking, expansion in 4 hour, and number three does not correlate. Number three does not give me a what I want. That is, let's say number three now, this candle that should be our inducement, just trade back into that expansion. We are not going to have a trade, no setup. So you must follow 1, 2, 3. Then you can take your trade. If it's not there, don't bother, because if this trade or this candle that should have been our inducement, all right, if it trades back inside this area, yeah, if price is still bearish, it's still going to sell, but note it's not going to sell in this area again. It's not going to sell in that area. As you learn mastery or gain mastery, You can also zero down to 45 minutes or 30 minutes to still get entry. We'll talk about that in subsequent meetings. All right. So this will now frame your entry. Again, this may not happen every day in your particular pair, your favorite pair, but it will happen every day across all other pairs. Your job is to wake up early. Now, you don't need to wait for the whole day. Let me show you what happened in Euro USD yesterday. Let's go to Euro USD and give an example of yesterday, Monday. I don't usually trade on Mondays, but the setup was just too juicy, my friend. This is Euro USD daily charts. This was today. This is today, Tuesday, and this candle is yesterday. So let's look at what happened yesterday with what I talked about. First of all, you can see clearly this black candle of yesterday took out the high of Friday. Yesterday was Monday. Took out the high of Friday. Clean. Now, that is the first part. The second part is go to the 4-hour time frame. Go to the 4-hour time frame and wait for an expansion. So this is the candle, this one that took out the high of the previous day. So let me refine very well. Good. Go to the next hour, which is 4 hours. Wait for an expansion or a change of character, which is what we have here. Look at the candle. Look at the next candle. Boom. Isn't this what we talk about? This is a change of character. However, this happened 1 a.m. in the night. I'm not trading at this time. So there was a setup here, but there was an expansion here. I can't say there's a setup. So number 2 happened here. Now, however, look carefully. As price kept going, it kept breaking and making expansions. So I'm going to mark all the expansions we had or all of the change of character we had yesterday. After that sweep, we have this first one. I'll go to 1 hour and check for this area, Obviously, this was where I sold from yesterday. Now, let me show you how in the 4-hour time frame of yesterday, we had all what we wanted. All what we needed was present. This may just give us another sell today. Don't worry. Let's not get distracted. So this clearly is an expansion. These 3 areas at yesterday were expanded. Now look at the 4-hour time frame. Can you see that after this recent one, that price change of character from, which by the way, you can use your line chart to show clear expansion. Look at the first one we marked here. It's going to look like an A shape. Look at the other one. Look at this one. So these are the 3 expansions we had yesterday. Today, currently, we are seeing a V expansion to the upside. So we may potentially have a buy here. We'll come to that as we wrap this class up. Now, of these 3 areas, what will now make me buy in 1, 2, 3? Let's take out 1 because this happened in the night. So there's no way I could be trading by this time. So let's look at this one and then this one. So what would now make me buy in area 1 sell in area 1 or area 2? We have said it, the presence of inducement liquidity and fair value gap. So let's go back to our candlestick. So let's start with this one. Let me change the color to blue. Now I'll go to 1 hour time because after this break, in fact, from here already, you see this is almost an invalid area because the very next candle, in fact, this one say I'm not sure this candle was the candle that broke this low. Okay, let's zoom in whether we see it clearly because sometimes it's not clear in a time frame. We go to another one. Let's see 3 hours first. So there's clearly some confliction around this area. You want to see this expansion that the candle should break it very well. Okay, so the body closed of this candle below the low of this one, below this body, which is okay. But the next candle came back and traded. So from 4-hour time frame, there is no entry here. No entry. Let's check 3 hours. From 3 hours, from the blue line, let's refine our break or change of character to this area. This broke very well. But you see this next candle came back inside. So it sold eventually, but this was not what we want. You get. Let's check 2 hours. So you just zero down, the same thing. After the break, in fact, this one was just playing around. So there's nothing there in 2 hours. It's there, it's there. If it's not there, it's not there. You get. Okay, 1 hour, played. So they just managed to break through, right? Managed to break through. So there is nothing at that point. So that's why I didn't even bother. Because this happened around from 5 a.m. to about early London session of Monday. But look at this one here, this other low. Notice from this particular time frame, we have a setup. And what is it? We have price break the low. Look at the next candle. Notice this candle did not, like we said, go back all the way to that upside where the expansion happened. I believe you can see it. It closed somehow before the expansion. Now, that forms our what? Inducement liquidity. And then this forms our fair value gap area. So both of them are present. And once they are present, your setup is complete. So from 4-hour time frame, we simply just set our limits at this area. Set our stop loss from the, when you go to 1-hour time frame, you can now refine your stop loss zone. I'll do that for you shortly. And then got our 3 arrow. Now, why the price reversed where it did? Look at it. When you are taking profits, understand that price moves from one level of liquidity to another level of liquidity. In fact, price moves to do two things all the time: to grab liquidity and to fill or rebalance an old imbalance. That is fair value gap. So once I was on this trade, I was looking for the next liquidity. We have one here, so I could take partials there. I could take partial here. Can you see how price rallied in to this point and they started reversing, taking partials? So I really got on. I think eventually in the 9, I on one of my position got a BE because I wanted this to still go lower. But then you must have a system or a way to pay yourself. Don't allow winners turn losers because you're expecting a trade to fall to hell and then you do not have a system to pay yourself. So very simple. 1, previous day. 2, expansion. 3, bam, that's it. On the stop loss, which most of you might be asking how you get your stop loss. If I come to the 1-hour time, which I am at the moment, you can clearly see that this candle, let me clear everything. That candle that broke this structure here, there is a fair value gap in that candle starting from the previous one, and our inducement candle remains the next candle, which is this green candle. Notice again in 1 hour time frame, this green candle did not go back to touch this blue line, and that is exactly what we want to see, forming our inducement. So from that high of this previous candle to this inducement candle forms our boundary. If price goes above this area, this fair value gap area, then this setup is invalid. That means we would have hit our stop loss. So my stop loss has to cover the fair value gap in that range, right? So from the 1 hour time frame, we use 1 hour time frame so that we can have reduced risk. So put my entry right there. Cover for this fair value. See, it was closed, but it didn't trigger. And then what do you have? Find your 3 arrow, the nearest high. Boom. Profited. This could make you pass a proper count. Just this one. Let me show you what happened in GBPAUD this morning. GBPAUD. I may not forecast for the week you are intended to do, all right? But I just hope you use this method to trade and make money. Damn, this is for those in our mentorship class, right? We're going to talk about this one. This is beautiful. But then let's recap what we did. As at this morning I woke up, I was looking for this set. Look at GBPAUD. This is so beautiful. This one happens today. And I'll share a final one with gold. Look at GBPAUD. For example, today, you could wake up and see that the high of yesterday is taken out or has been taken out. Good. What do you want to see? 4 hour. What? Expansion. So adjust it properly here. And we say 2 candles can form the expansion, which is, for example, this candle and this next one is enough for an expansion. So I had a missed entry here. I had a missed trade. But then I'm happy to see that this thing is fire, if you will. Well, line chart tells us an expansion is still here. But then from the candle, for what you are taught, so as at this morning, I was looking, because this is an Asian pair, AUD. So I know it can move in the 9th Asian session. So I already have this red line as my potential sell zone. However, in the 1 hour time frame, which I have turned into, wasn't looking real nice. So 1 hour, my goodness. Okay, the reason I didn't take this trade was this. From the 1 hour time frame, look at this low I was taking out. First of all, we can see there's a sweep and break, which I told you about. Sweep, break. If you didn't get it in this meeting, probably in the last recording we dropped on this channel, we talked about that sweep and break clear, right? It makes your trade so powerful. When you have that background of a sweep and break, it makes your setup so powerful. So again, from the 1 hour, we have this area, but this next candle already interacted. That's why I did not bother to put, I think I placed limit order around this zone. Okay. And there was a reason for that, which we'll talk about in the next class. But let me see. Let's see something. Let's see something. I will show you good finally, and then I'll leave you to go test all of these things. Let's see. Um, let's see 30 minutes. Let's see expansion here. 30 minutes. From 30 minutes, there could have been an entry though. This interacted. Let's try 45. So well, it was just a missed trade because we didn't have the third thing, right? Though from advanced whatever, there's something here which if you have bought our course, we talked about key level, open close key level. But even at that, this is an open close key level. This still did not give us an entry. So well, I have sell limit that didn't trigger, and boom, boom, boom. You see what GBPAUD did. Just a few minutes after, it just went straight to hell. Right? Check back, it has gotten there. All right, so but is that all? Let's see. We still have an opportunity. We are streaming this. When I end the recording, I will do daily forecast. I do not want this video to be so unnecessarily long. So you see an example there. Let's look at gold, XAU, USD. Gold did exactly what we talked about today. First of all, again, daily chart. You can see yesterday's high taken, but you don't just jump to start selling because the high of the previous day is taken. You move to the next time frame, wait for an expansion. Gold is still giving up. Gold, we still have opportunity today with gold. Please don't miss gold for any reason. All right. By the way, we just have, it's now we're having a clear expansion. All right. This current candle is now we're having a very clear expansion from this area, from two candlestick formation. Because this is engulfing the candles before. So you can wait for seller. Usually once the high of a day is taken out, you target the low. So price should run to the low. All right. But you should have a way to pay yourself along the way. So now we have 1 and 2, wait for 3. Right? Wait for 3. Just when you come to the lower time, you just have to refine. Just have to refine. And clearly we have a sweep right there and a break right here. Right? Which is nice. And then we just want to see that this is 2 hours to the next candle to form. I want to see 10 o'clock candle close around here. Okay, I want to see that candle close around there without touching this expansion area. So you can mark that out, and then should that happen, you cannot have this 3R can hold it down into tomorrow. So if you're in this call, understand how we got here. I will end this recording now just so our YouTube subscribers can back test what we talked about. I've given 3 examples with Euro USD yesterday, GBPAUD today, and gold today. I took a trade using this with AUD JPY this morning. Just the same thing. Look, I think there is another entry we would talk about subsequent. So if you have not yet subscribed, all right, please do that so you'll be first to be notified once we drop another video. I got in on this entry, which we'll talk about in the next video. Very simple setup this morning. So up 2%. and out on this setup. Very easy, straightforward, as we talked about. All right. So I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.